nightmare situation as it flies up into the ceiling and detonates. I don't think that's gonna happen. Oh, maybe it's gonna happen. Woo! Oh my gosh, it's working. It's working. Over the last month or so, I've been learning to use CAD. It's something that I've actually really avoided. I didn't want to learn 3D printing. Having worked in support services, I can tell you that I hated printers so much. But I purchased like the full license of Fusion 360 and I have dived in full beans into learning CAD and being able to use it to supplement projects. I've been making little drone parts. I've been using it to figure out how to like lay out a closet in my house. But I wanted to put all of the skills that I've been learning in CAD to the test, and I have decided to build a drone frame. Now, I didn't want it to be a super basic drone frame, or at least something that I could just kind of copy something that somebody else has already done. So I wanted to come up with something that was a little bit unique, something that was my own. And I've always wanted to mount a flight controller this way. So normally it's flat. Normally flight controllers are mounted like this, right? It's the way that makes the most sense. Most of your drone is kind of sandwiched that way. I want to mount it like that. And the reason that I want to do it this way is to make the thinnest drone possible. I can definitely think of some issues that we'll probably have to bump into along the way about the structure and the rigidity of some of the ideas that I've got. But the only way I know how to test that is to just go ahead and do it. All right, this should be done printing here. Spent all day yesterday making these parts. Cannot wait to get these off of here and see if they actually fit together. Chances are, no. Oh no. Whoa. Sorry, I cut myself with a kitchen knife yesterday. Hopefully you guys don't mind blood. Wow, that is on there. Honey, what are you watching? Do these motor mounts fit on here? Actually, they kind of do. It's a little tight, so maybe I'll need to make those a little smaller for the carbon. Oh, that's a pretty good start. Look at that. So then the motor mounts will go through there into the top bits. Obviously, with carbon fiber, we should be able to file it down a little bit. But that's pretty dope. That's a pretty good fit. I'm really happy with that. Whoa. So the plan is to join together 4 of these 18650s, which maybe they'll be a little big for it, but that's nice. And then there's these little spacers that will join them all together. Maybe I should make it a full unit. I think I was just planning on gluing them, and then these little tabs here will mount on the front and the back of the... Okay, maybe I do need to make that a solid unit. All right, let's get the main body printed, and then we can at least start dry fitting some of this. And here we go. And she's done. Oh, that looks so funny. That's a drone frame. Wow, this should fit through here, turn. Oh, that's pretty satisfying. It'd be such a pain to build. Cool. My camera mount will go there. Oh, that fits nicely. And this will go here to hold the receiver and transmitter. And then these guys will go across to hold the flight controller in place. That's crazy that you can just have something go from your imagination and into a thing. Oh my goodness, it looks like we actually know what we're doing. I might add a little bit of length to that arm, just like a touch, especially because the geometry is kind of funny looking. Yeah, that's pretty good. All right, so since this is my first drone frame that I've ever made, there's a lot of things that didn't translate from my brain to the actual hardware that I can hold in my hand. First of all, motor mounts. Apparently there's a little indent on the bottom of a motor that needs to go down into the frame a little bit, so that's why there's always a hole in the middle of motor mounts on every frame I've ever used. I just completely forgot about it. Cross brace support. So this, look, even when I set this down, it fell apart already. This right here. This cross brace, it's not rigid enough, so I need to come up with some way to support it. I've got an idea, so I'm gonna mock that up, test that out. It fell apart again when I threw it over there. upright bars. So the bars that go up from the battery to the flight controller, those need to be wider because I can't put M3 holes in them or else the whole thing is gonna break. So it needs to be wider than, I think, 4 mil right now. So we'll go up to 6 or 8. VTX antenna holder is super flimsy, and even pulling it off the plate, it just doesn't work, so we're gonna replace that. Camera housing. So this camera is way smaller than I thought it was gonna be, like unbelievably small. And the screws that come with it are, I think they're like 1.5 mil or 1 mil M1, like they're tiny. And so the design that I made without having held it in my hand, it just won't work. So I need to make a housing for that, and then I'm gonna put M2 screws through that housing and make that swivel instead of the actual, so. Completely redoing that. Battery holder. We already experienced it on the desk. It's a cool design, works pretty well, but it needs a little bit more rigidity. So I got to figure out how to make it rigid, but also be able to put it inside the frame. It's a little bit confusing. We'll figure it out. Cross arm inserts. So the way that I did the cross arms for the top and bottom part, they kind of like do that sort of thing. And it works really well, except I should just flip it the other way because as the motors pull, it's pulling the crossbar off. So I might as well at least have the motors push up into the other crossbar. Makes sense to me. Anyway. Was that everything? So after a good bit of effort, I've got the new versions of this all put together. So the motor mounts now allow the motors to free spin. I put a hole through the middle so that the motor can freewheel on it. And then I added the center point, which holds the whole thing together structurally. So now this thing is actually pretty freaking rigid. Like, I'm actually really happy with that. Obviously, it's made out of PLA, so it's wiggly as crap. But the problem, the battery thing does not fit anymore. And if I put it over here, it does not any longer fit all the way snug to the edge. So all that to say, I've managed to solve a couple problems, but have created a bunch of other ones. So back to, or continuing on, the drawing board. I got the battery pack built. It fits great into our frame, which... There it is. This is the new version with a slightly longer battery bay here. So I'm gonna wire these batteries in series, and to do that, I recently purchased this CC spot welder. How bad could it go, you know? So in order to do this, I've got a little bit of nickel stuff. Again, this is all just me watching YouTube videos. Touch and hold, and boop. How cool is that? Boop. Now those batteries are welded together. They're not going anywhere. Okay, so now with any luck, if I attach this battery and this battery, we should have 16.4-ish volts from here to here. Hey, look at that. All right, so now we need to solder on the leads and make sure that this is actually balanceable. But yeah, pretty cool. We did it. Hey, it's coming together. I'm really, really stoked. It's pretty sick. I love what I'm doing, and I'm having fun. That's all that matters. It just looks so nasty on approach. And then you see it from the side and you're like, oh, that's ugly as hell. Ugly. Ugly. It's so good. Okay, it's currently 10 o'clock. I'm done for the day. But look, it's pretty close. It needs a little bit of work still. I'm not super happy with the antenna mount. I'm not happy at all with the camera mount. I set it for like a 20-degree angle, but it ended up like 5. I don't know how that happened. Just looking at it like that. So now it's flying straight at you. It's coming to get you. It's so aerodynamic. It's cutting through the air like a shark fin. Maybe that's a good name for the frame. I don't know. It'll go real good in a straight. Maybe it'll actually be like a decent long ranger because it's got a lot of battery, not very much weight, and no aerodynamic issues whatsoever. I have no idea. Can't wait to get it tomorrow. Maybe we'll get a version of this cut. I think it might be ready. Carbon is a completely different thing from printing in PLA, but I'm not really this manic. I'm just tired. It's super cool. I'm really happy. Hope you guys are liking this.
The next day.
After sleeping a little bit, after being here for like 13 or 14 hours yesterday, getting ready to send everything off to Carbon. I've got everything here laid out for cutting. I'm really excited to get this back into place, but I'm like, what did I mess up? What did I forget? Because it takes a long time to cut this, and it's much more expensive than the 3D printing. So, but everything fits on the 3D print. I had to make a very small change to this to get it ready for Carbon. we're learning. Let's review all of the things that we needed to change before we send it off to Carbon. First of all, we needed to make the motor mounts have a little bit of a concaveness, a little hole to them. That is done. You can see that they now spin freely on their mounts. Motor mounts, solved. The next thing we need to do is make that cross brace support, so you can see that the support is there. So this cross brace is now super rigid and locked in place. It's rigid as I'm like wiggling it back and forth. Cross brace support. Solved. We needed to widen these upright bars. I widened them just a couple of millimeters. It didn't need to be a lot, just enough to make this antenna mount hole not basically structurally compromise the entire drone. So it's all a little bit stronger now. It's not perfect, it's better. That's all we needed. Upright bars. Solved. So the next thing we needed to make was a stronger VTX antenna support. So I actually ended up changing my antennas. I found this walk snail antenna. So that sticks now into the antenna holder here, holds it on much, much stronger. I think that's a great compromise. VTX antenna holder, solved. I needed to redesign the camera housing, so I still went with a fixed mount instead of a variable mount. I made the entire camera housing hold the entire camera. I just figured putting a housing all the way around it was gonna be way better. I'll probably put a little glue to hold it in. Camera housing, solved. The whole battery is now in this little PLA housing. It's just a little brick now, it's awesome. Battery holder, done. And then finally, I just needed to flip the inserts on the cross brace. So the cross arm is here instead of fitting together like that. It actually now, when the motor's thrust, it pushes up into the other cross arm. So hopefully that adds a little bit of structural rigidity. We'll see. Cross arm inserts. Get out of here. We're ready for Carbon. We've checked off all of the boxes of the things that we needed to do. Now we just gotta hope that we got it right. We're doing guess and check science here. Oh, yes. The red line is showing the actual path that the tool will make through each of the cuts. And then green is the actual line of the cut that it's going to cut out. That's crazy to see it laid out like that. And then this is the CNC room. This is the tiny little plate that we're cutting on this massive CNC. All right, version 1 finally cut. It's crazy to see it all come together in the flush. It's got a little flex in it, a little more than I want, but I think it'll be okay for the amount of torque that we're using. Let's see if these fit together like this. Yeah, it's got a little bit more flex than I want. Maybe I should have gone with 3 mil or something like that, so it had a little bit more. I mean, that's not surprising. We knew that was going to be the case. I think it'll fly. I don't think it'll do crazy acro performances. And then, yeah, these guys just don't fit on here at all. So I got to figure out what to do to make that happen. Maybe this is a bad idea. Actually, it's definitely a bad idea, but we're having fun. It's time to do a whole bunch of sanding. Okay, that wasn't actually nearly as tedious as I thought it was going to be. Let's start by getting our motors in place. Okay, we'll take a break from putting the motors on and switch to putting on the cross braces. I want this to be nice and rigid while I'm working on the motors, so we're gonna get this all fit up now. Now we'll cinch these down a little bit, again without breaking our carbon. Hoya! That's so good. Look at that, so sexy. Okay, back to motors. Boom. 4 motors in place. Look at that action. Now that it's in here, well, it gets pretty rigid. There's some flex for sure. I'm mostly worried about this direction torque. You can see it kind of twists on this axis. And then if you look straight down this, that cross arm bent a little bit when it got cinched down. So like you can see that this motor is tilted. I don't think it's gonna be a big issue for the flight controller to fix that. I might be able to fix it, but so now I'm gonna get the flight controller in place. Got the flight controller tabs on. Now I'm just gonna mount it to the frame. Problem is I got these big old meat hooks of hands that make it really hard to work on these tiny little screws. And I'm putting the motor wires on the back of this flight controller. I'm gonna do everything else in the front of it. So I'm just kind of routing everything through the frame and getting everything kind of in place so that it's kind of easy to manage and sexy. We'll see. She is done. Fully built out, ready to roll. I just did the beta flight configuration, made sure that it was ready to go. Now I'm just charging it up, hoping that she doesn't blow up on the first flight because we just put a lot of work into that. got just enough time for one quick test before I have to run. I really hope it doesn't break on this first attempt. Let's see what happens. I hope it works. Nightmare situation is it flies up into the ceiling and detonates. I don't think that's gonna happen. Oh, maybe it's gonna happen. Oh my gosh, that was crazy. Something's gotta be wrong. It's really wiggling. This may not work. No, after all that, it's like vibrating in my hand like crazy. Whoa. Drone pilot can't design drone that flies. Well, the camera's upside down for one. That's funny. Okay, I've basically halved everything. It might work. Okay, let's try this. It's working. Okay. That was me panicking. Okay, it's flying really bad, but it's not messing up. Progress. That was not me. It just got angry. We're having fun. We're having so much fun. It's flying, technically. Okay, good, good, good. Oh, we're close. Still not great, but it's flying. That's so cool, dude. Oh, that's so excellent. It works most of the way there. Just gotta get a little dialed in on the PIDs, but it's flying. That is so excellent. My first drone all the way from the ground up. Oh my gosh, it's working. It's working. It's working. So it was a little bit vibrating early, so I just quickly printed this as just a test to try to give the arms a little bit of extra rotational toughness. The problem is I don't want to compromise on my design of having this attack angle be awesome. So I wanted to just quickly make a test print, see if I could at least get a better performance out of it by limiting this aspect and see if that solves some of the problems. So totally ruins the aspect of the drone, but it really helps with that rotational aspect, and I think that that's gonna make a big difference in how it flies. So kind of disappointing, but still kind of cool. So let's get this in the air and see what it does. Okay, here we go. First test, cross brace. Okay, so good so far, but that was with the PIDs being way down where it was flying before. So let's try cranking up the PIDs and see if we can get a little bit better flight performance, because that's what was missing before. Oh, it's flying so much better now. Okay, so I'm gonna land. I'm gonna take off that cross brace, and we're gonna take off again and see if it gets into that crazy oscillation. I am betting it will based on where I am on the PIDs. I would be happy to be wrong though. Woo! No! Yep, it was oscillating. So it's totally that torsional angle. You can hear it go. Now I'll put this cross brace back on. Again, just a 3D printed PLA, that's all I did. Take off, I haven't changed anything. Oscillation's gone. Dang it! My design was a failure! Or at least my original concept was design. But look at that! It looks so cool! Well, I guess that means we're going back to the drawing board for this concept. Aha! I need a break from this. My idea doesn't work. Dang it. I think I'm gonna call this video there. There's obviously some problems with my design. Because it twists so badly, there's no way that it's going to fly without some sort of rigidity, some sort of strength. I feel like we're at a good stopping point for this one. We've kind of done V1, we've seen what doesn't work, and now V2 is going to be making it work the best that it can. I got a couple of good ideas, both between myself and some that my friend Pete suggested, and I think I know how I'm going to modify it and make it kind of continue to meet my design constraints, but also, you know, actually fly. I'm gonna end this video here. It's been an awesome adventure bringing you from the start of never having built a drone frame from the ground up, like just raw materials all the way to a fully built drone. It's awesome to have been able to bring you guys along for that adventure. I'm not planning on really like manufacturing these or selling them. I'm imagining that you guys really aren't that interested in a bad drone frame, but maybe V2. Leave it in the comments if there's something, if you'd be interested in buying one just to be able to, like, you know, assemble this drone in a weird configuration. Maybe there's enough interest that it's worth making a short run of them and shipping them out to you guys. You guys let me know if you're interested in diving in on it. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please subscribe, like, comment, and share this with your friends. It helps me make more content like this for you guys. And stay fly.